You ever look at her and just know something changed? Her tone, her energy, the way she moves around you. It's like she's the same woman, but somehow she isn't. Here's the hard truth. When a woman has been intimate with someone, especially someone new, she carries it in ways she can't hide. And you feel it. Even if you don't know how to explain it, it's in the way she protects her phone. The new glow she doesn't even realize she has. The little traces of another man's world she brings back with her. Most men ignore it. They make excuses. They don't want to see what's right in front of them. But if you can read these subtle signs, you'll see everything she thought she buried. Today, I'll show you the quiet, forbidden tells that every man needs to recognize. 1. She acts like she's hiding something, even when she isn't. You don't need to be a mind reader to know when a woman has recently been intimate. You just need to watch for the guilt she doesn't even know she's leaking. See, intimacy isn't just physical for most women. It carries a psychological weight. And that weight shows up in her behavior. Maybe she's not cheating. Maybe she's single. Maybe you're not even involved. But subconsciously, after being with someone, a woman often feels like she's holding a secret. And secrets always bleed through the surface. Here's what it looks like. She suddenly becomes overly polite. Her tone is just a little too sweet. She avoids direct eye contact, but not in a shy way, in a guarded way. Or she does the opposite. She overcompensates. She becomes extra chatty, overly available, almost like she's trying to distract you from noticing what's different. This isn't about catching someone in a lie. It's about understanding that intimacy for many women triggers an internal recalibration, whether it's guilt, secrecy, or simply processing the experience. It makes her act off. And if you know her baseline, if you've seen her normal rhythm, you'll spot this change immediately. She might touch her phone more often, keep her sentences shorter, or avoid lingering too long in one place, as if standing still might let you read her. It's not in what she says. It's in the micro-behaviors, the half-smiles that don't reach her eyes, the pauses between her words, the little acts of avoidance she thinks you won't notice. This isn't always deception. Sometimes it's just the quiet, subconscious reaction to feeling different. Like she's carrying something unspoken, and if you pay attention, you'll feel it. Because humans don't hide well. They leak, and post-intimacy, a woman often leaks that something happened, even if she's saying nothing at all. 2. Her interactions with you suddenly change. Here's something most men miss. When a woman has recently been intimate with someone, especially if it's new or emotionally charged, her interactions with you will change. Sometimes subtly, sometimes like a brick through a window. But it always changes. If you're someone she's dating, talking to, or even just a male friend in her orbit, you'll notice a shift in how she engages with you. Maybe she becomes colder. Suddenly, she doesn't text as fast. Her usual playfulness disappears. Her replies are shorter, not angry, but detached. It feels like she's somewhere else because she is. Other times, she'll do the opposite. She'll become strangely warmer, overly nice, almost like she's overcompensating. Why? Because intimacy changes a woman's emotional landscape. Her nervous system recalibrates. And that change bleeds into her social behavior. If she's been with someone who excites her, you'll notice a quiet arrogance in her tone, a subtle boost in confidence, like she's glowing. She might tease more, carry herself with looser, lighter energy, talk in a way that feels like she's performing happiness. On the flip side, if she feels guilty about it, she'll pull back, become avoidant, overly polite. Keep the conversation safe to avoid slipping up. Either way, you'll feel the shift. Because humans are creatures of patterns. When you know her baseline, how she normally talks, texts, and behaves, even the slightest deviation stands out. Maybe she breaks her texting rhythm, cancels plans with vague excuses, or starts telling you little cover stories about where she's been. Sometimes she'll even pick fights over nothing, not because she's angry at you, but because she's processing guilt or testing how much you'll tolerate. Here's the uncomfortable truth. A woman doesn't need to confess anything for you to know. Her behavior tells the story. The sudden distance, the overcompensating niceness, the emotional unpredictability. It's not random. It's not just a mood. It's the psychological residue of intimacy, the way it rearranges her emotional focus and leaks out in how she treats you. And if you're tuned in, if you're observing instead of obsessing, you'll see it. Because every woman, no matter how skilled at hiding, leaves footprints in her behavior after she's been with someone else. You just have to stop listening to what she says and start watching how she changes. Before we go any further, there's something you need to see. I'm giving you a free copy of the Female Mind Control Handbook. Inside, you'll uncover the hidden triggers that make any woman crave you. Grab it now. The link's in the description and pinned comment. Third, her clothing and grooming choices quietly shift. One of the most overlooked tells how she presents herself. When a woman has recently been intimate, especially if it's with someone new or someone she deeply desires, her style, grooming, and even scent often change. And it's rarely accidental. See, intimacy can spark a behavioral ripple effect. She feels different. She's been desired. Her femininity has been activated, and women often express that by subtly altering their appearance. Maybe she puts more effort into her makeup than usual, changes her hairstyle, wears perfume that wasn't part of her usual routine, or sometimes she does the opposite. She goes minimal. Why? Because she doesn't feel the need to perform anymore. The intimacy gave her a temporary sense of validation, and that bleeds into how she dresses and carries herself. If you know her baseline, this stands out like a siren. For example, she normally dresses casual, suddenly she's dressed to impress for no reason. She starts wearing subtle traces of his world, a hoodie that isn't hers, a bracelet she didn't buy. Her grooming suddenly has a different rhythm. Freshly manicured nails when she didn't care last week, or a change in her fragrance that doesn't match her usual taste. These aren't random. They're expressions of a shift in emotional state. And here's where it gets interesting. Women rarely announce these changes. They leak them. They'll say, "Oh, I just felt like dressing up today," or "I found this in my closet." But you'll feel the difference, because these changes aren't for everyone to notice. They're for someone. Whether it's conscious or subconscious, her presentation is a quiet reflection of where she's been and who she's been with. Men who miss this miss the truth sitting right in front of them. Because a woman's style, scent, and grooming don't just change randomly. They change when her emotional world changes. And post-intimacy. That shift is almost always visible if you know where to look. 4. She acts familiar with things she shouldn't know. This one slips past most men. When a woman has been intimate with someone, especially someone new, she often picks up tiny pieces of their world. And it leaks out in conversation, habits, or even inside jokes she shouldn't logically have. It's not that she's trying to confess. It's that intimacy creates familiarity, and familiarity always finds a way to reveal itself. Maybe she casually mentions a place she's never been with you, drops the name of a restaurant, band, or hobby she's suddenly into, quotes a line or repeats a phrase you know isn't hers. Or she suddenly adopts micro-habits, a new slang word she didn't use before, a slight change in how she texts or the emojis she uses, a subtle shift in her routines, waking up earlier, drinking a different type of coffee, listening to a genre she never cared for. It's small, it's almost invisible, but it's there. These aren't random updates to her personality, they're imprints, traces of someone else's influence. And the closer the intimacy, the stronger these imprints become. Here's the unsettling part. She often doesn't even realize she's doing it. When women connect deeply, physically and emotionally, they unconsciously mirror the person they've been with. It's biology, it's bonding, it's her way of absorbing pieces of the experience. That's why, if you know her well enough, you'll notice these things immediately. She talks differently, she moves differently, she carries pieces of another man's world, in her words, in her tone, in her little behaviors. And if you're paying attention, you'll spot these leaks without her saying a single word. Because intimacy always leaves footprints, not just on her body, but on her identity. 5. She's extra protective of her phone. If you really want to spot a shift, don't watch her words. Watch her phone behavior. When a woman has recently been intimate, especially with someone new, her relationship with her phone often changes. Suddenly she keeps it closer than usual, face down on the table, in her pocket when it's normally in her bag, always within arm's reach. If she's normally relaxed with her phone, leaving it out, letting you glance at the screen, this subtle guarding is a big tell. She might start taking it with her everywhere, even for small things like going to the kitchen. If you've ever noticed these shifts before but couldn't explain them, comment below. I see everything now. Let's see how many men are finally waking up.